Good afternoon, everyone. Before we continue to the next session, I'm gonna ask first, have everyone eaten? I hope you all enjoy the lunch. Now we move on to the discussion session 2. This discussion session 2 international seminar will be guided by the lecturer of the Center for International Law, National University of Singapore, Mr. Taufik Rahmat Nugraha. Before that, let me read the moderator's profile. Mr. Taufik Rahmat Nugraha earned a Master of Law degree in 2020 from University Padjajaran, Faculty of Law with a thesis titled Protection Against Alien Biohazard Contamination in the Mars Exploration Program, an International Space Law Approach. In 2023, Mr. Taufik Rahmat Nugraha have diploma from Egan Institute for Law of the Sea through Rhodes Academy 2023 in Rhodes Island, Greece. Mr. Taufik Rahmat Nugraha MH is also active in several international organizations, non-government organizations, and research institutions. For instance, 2018 till present, Mr. Taufik was appointed as national point of contact for the Republic of Indonesia by the Space Generation Advisory Council, Vienna, Austria, and member of the International Academy of Space Law, Moscow, Russia, and member of Space Law and Policy Working Group, Space Generation Advisory Council. To Mr. Taufik Rahmat Nugraha, time and place are yours.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. And I hope you enjoy your lunch. And thank you very much for uh, MC that I'm asking what a space lawyer do with ocean law and policy in Singapore. But my job as ocean law and policy is also my interest. So yeah, I'm trying to develop myself more involved in law of the sea. So yeah, I think it will very useful for the future. So without further ado, because I believe we are behind the schedule, I would like to invite our three speakers for this session. Is first is Mr. Remus Randi Ismail Sani. Please, and I believe from Bandung is my former lecturers from Universitas Padjajaran. She was
Hello.
already in Jatinangor, I believe, Bu.
Yes, I just finished my class. Sorry. Thank you.
I would like to introduce myself. My name is Remus Randy Ismail Sani. I am from International Law Department from Faculty of Law, Mulawarman University. My friends and my lecturer college maybe call me Remus. I am still on my study right now. Still on my study on the International Law Department. Maybe that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. For our second panelist is Ms. Chlorine Isana Dewi. Please, I would like to introduce you. Is an assistant professor at the Law Faculty, Universitas Padjajaran, Bandung. She obtained her LLB in International Law from the Faculty of Law, Universitas Padjajaran, LLM in Human Rights Law from the School of Law, University of Nottingham, United Kingdom. Her works are in the fields of human rights law, humanitarian law, international law, and international criminal law. Prior to lecturing at UNPAD, she was researcher at the French Red Cross and expert staff of legal, dissemination, and public relation at the LPSK, or Victim and Witness Protection Agency of Republic Indonesia. Besides lecturing, she also worked as a consultant and researcher consultant for several Indonesian government institutions. Okay, then I will move to our third speaker. To Mr. Muhammad Ajrin, are you still, or you already graduate? Still student. Oh, so could you please introduce yourself to this audience?
Okay. Hello everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for introduction. My name is Muhammad Ajrin, and I'm currently last year for my final year as a law student from the International Law Department, Faculty of Law, Mulawarman University. And it's also called Ajrin for short, so you can call me Ajrin as well. For the relevance of my background of experience is just like in terms of the sustainability, environmental. I'm do looking over research before back then that I'm joining the model UN, specifically and UNEP, such like the concept of the concerning about the environmental and sustainability, and focus on my research on this. And I think that's going to be relevance for this kind of the future discussion that we're going to be discuss about how the maritime issues is going to be protected. And I'm looking forward for discussion with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Could you give applause before we begin for all the speakers? Okay, thank you very much. It will be a great discussion we have, and I will invite our first speaker, Mr. Remus, to present his presentation. And without further ado, Mr. Remus, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Modern eras means modern advantage and modern problems. Modern problems requires modern solutions. I'd like to reintroduce myself. My name is Remus Randy Ismail Sani. I am from International Law Department, Faculty of Law, Mulawarman University. I would like to give presentation about Nusantara Capital from Marine Security and Defense perspective. Next. So as we know today, our current capital is still located in DKI Jakarta. On the Princess Island is in the Java Island. But at 2019, our president, Mr. President Joko Widodo, at that time he has a plan. He want to relocate the capital from Java Island to East Kalimantan for precise, at the Sepaku district. The policy to relocate the capital changed many aspects because of different geospatial location of the two locations, extend in great amount of distance and geographic background. So it's just not about relocating the capital, no. If we change the location of our capital, there are a lot of other aspects that impacted by it. The moving of capital means moving the center of gravity of a nation, not just governmental sector, but every sector in Indonesia will be affected by the new capital. Next. So this is the capital maps. We see that the capital is designed maybe for classification of area. The first area is marked in the dark brown color. It was called Kawasan Ibu Kota Nusantara. It is purposed for the cities areas and other administration functions. And the second area is shown in the darker brown area. It was designed for the central of the government of Indonesia. And the third area is the largest area, the light brown area, is designed for supporting the development of the capital. And the last area is shown in the map by the white color area. It was the coastal part and marines area of the our new capital. In the Article 6, paragraph 2, letter D of Ibu Kota Negara Act, it said the capital city of Nusantara covers a land area of approximately 252,660 hectares and sea area of approximately 69,769 hectares, with territorial boundaries D. To the east, it borders the Makassar Strait. Next. I'm sorry for the PowerPoint, but I will rate it. The idealist conceptum. Relocation of Indonesia capital is based on the idea of new center of gravity of Indonesia, of Indonesia civilization, that located in the center of Indonesia itself, could integrate and stimulate the growth of economic in all sectoral across all Indonesian regional. Policy to moving out the capital out of Java Island, considered by many experts and many policymakers as a solution to reduce social and economic tension in DKI Jakarta before. In considering a letter B of IKN Act, the IKN expected to be safe, modern, sustainable, and resilient. Safe is an expected outcome from relocating the IKN. Next. And now there's three main conditions in Indonesia. The first, Indonesia consists sea area as 2/3 of total Indonesia territory consists of sea territory. Second condition, the moving of central of gravitation from Jakarta to proposed Ibu Kota Nusantara, or simply IKN, at district Sepaku. And the last one, there's a national threat near IKN as Indonesia capital moving into Borneo Island in Alki 1 and Alki 2, related to the geopolitical situation in the Sulu Sea, near Celebes Sea at Alki 2 and South China Sea near Natuna Sea at Alki 1. Next. Based on the ideal concept of IKN from IKN academic manuscript and IKN Act and current conditions with marine geopolitical aspect of the proposed location, for IKN with existing national threats near Borneo Island, there's unclear problem about safety, security, and defense of IKN from marine sector's potential threat to Indonesia's security and defense that could possibly bring devastating disaster when the new IKN at District Sepaku start fully functioning in July 2024. Next. Then, when we talk about IKN, we talk about the security of its position. There's a theoretical framework to discuss this field of subject. Barry Bazan, 5 sector of security. Barry Bazan, expert in the field of state and international security, divides the idea of security into 5 sectors. The environmental sector, the social sectors, the economic sectors, political sectors, and military sectors. The idea of the security is aiming to mapping potential harm and threat within each sector that could harm the peace, make the civil in chaotic conditions, disrupt the state's functions, or against people's rights. So the authority of the state could take preventative measures to prevent such potential harm and threat. The environmental security is aiming to mapping potential harm and threats or from natural environment that could damage human environment. The social security is aiming to mapping potential harm and threats to or from human society, including potential harm to people's civil and human rights, such as right to strive for decent life from mutual employment, or right to utilize or exploit the natural resource, and criminal activities that could against people's rights. The economic security is aiming to mapping potential harm and threats to or from economic activity, such as trade activity, transaction, investment, supply and demand, distribution, etc. Political security is aiming to mapping potential harm and threats to or from political conditions, such as geopolitical condition, international states affairs, or international political issue. And the last sector is the military security is aiming to mapping potential harm or threats to or from military activity and armed civil activity, such as military aggression, separatism, radicalism, armed robbery, and sea piracy. Next slide. As I mentioned in the previous slide, environmental degradation are concerning issue along the coastline of East Borneo, since extractive activity like oil and gases mining in the Delta Mahakam was founded. The environmental degradation of coastal area are increasing in concerning level. We can see in the map, it's a 2001 map, it's 22 years ago. There's an icon and mark on the map. It shown extractive activities in the Delta Mahakam and in Kukar or Kutai Kartanegara Regency. There's very much extractive activity in that area, and it will grow when the IKN start function at Sepaku Regency. We can see on the map. We can see also on the side of the map, it's a mangrove ecosystem that destroyed by extractive activities from oil and gases. Next slide. Now, it's the picture of Gulf of Balikpapan. It's the part that near of the IKN, and some part of the Gulf of Balikpapan, it's in the area of IKN development. Today, the Gulf of Balikpapan, that's once full of mangrove ecosystem, are threatened by smelter industry development that take place in the Gulf area, destroying habitat of Bekantan or endemic primate to Borneo Island. And in the destroying habitat and in the proposed plan of for IKN, will also take some place in the Gulf of Balikpapan. Thus, IKN are very likely aggravating the damage that already exists in the Gulf area. Next slide. Now, the coastal territory across East Borneo are home to many endemic biodiversity of fishes and plants inhabiting mangrove ecosystem, coral reef system, or seaweed ecosystem, which are used by local residents as a source of livelihood and as primary commodity to fishery market in East Borneo. There was several cases some years ago that there's a conflict between oil and gas company with the local residents in Kutai Kartanegara at Delta Mahakam. The entry of oil and gas companies into the Kutai Kartanegara coastal area in the Mahakam Delta caused the loss of livelihood and of fishermen and shrimp farmers. then the ILKN will not just stimulating the development of an industry, but will also stimulating the development of extractive and polluting industry along the coast area to keep supply and demand, which will increase as IKN develops in East Borneo. Next. The IKN development at District Sepaku will make the new chain of distributions of goods to fulfill the supply and demands of goods to the new capital. As human population grow in the IKN, the supply and demands of goods are also grow simultaneously. When we see on the map, the current distribution corridor scheme, there is no sea main corridor on the Makassar Strait. The IKN will need the main corridor to cross the IKN so the distribution of goods can be effective and efficient. The new corridor will also mean more cost and need more budget and investment to build new ports and harbors across the coastal area of East Kalimantan and West Sulawesi. Next slide. Oh, 3 minutes left. Okay, I will make it simple. Now, in the context of international geopolitical matters, if we look on the maps, it shows 2 maps. The first map of Sulu Sea in Philippines that show in the red area on the maps. The red area are inhabited by many sea pirates, armed robbery, and separatist groups, such as Abu Sayyaf group. On the other maps, up north-west area of Borneo Island, located in close proximity with disputable Chinese 9-days line at South China Sea, with some part of the claim or overlapping with Indonesia territory at Natuna Sea. It means the IKN will take place near the hot spot and possible conflicting sea areas. Next slide. Now it's on the military sector. On the other hand, the military security of IKN also very threatened in the marine areas. On the map, there is a comparison aggression scenario between a land aggression and sea aggression scenario. We could see that the red area of both of the maps show the possible battle area if the aggression is happening. The map on the left show less red area than in the right map. The map on the left is risk scenario of aggression through the land area, while the right one is risk of aggression through the sea area. The current defense mechanism of Indonesia will overwhelm if the aggression through the sea occur. It means the marine area of East Borneo are the weak spot to attack if the aggression is happen and the new IKN is very vulnerable. Next slide. The Indonesia proposed the layered defense strategy of national defense mechanism to overcome military aggression of the state. The mechanism worked with 4 different areas on the right map. The first area is letter A area, is buffer area that proposed to eliminate the possible threat outside from Indonesia territory. The second area is letter B area that locate outside of the Indonesian territory but near of our territory. Is for main defense area to prevent possible threat from entering in national territory. The last area is letter C and letter D area that will be the communication area and supporting area. Next. Maybe that's all I can present to you all. Thank you for your time and attention.
Great, thank you very much, Ramos. It's just in time. Your presentation is really interesting to discuss later with all the audience on the Q&A session. And after Ramos, we have Miss Chlorine Isana Dewi. Bu Orin, are you ready with your presentation? It's about 15 minutes, and I will give you a clue if there's a 5 minute left. Orin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Taufik, for the nice introductions and for me. And first of all, I would like to apologize to all the audience, Pak Mahendra, because I have a very tight agenda in Bandung, so I cannot be there. But thank you for providing the hybrid session, so I can still follow the seminar. I'd like to share the discussions on this in the shipping and risk of international shipping and the risk of the maritime terrorism. As the first presenter has described us about how the potentials in regards to the security of the Indonesian itself, from the defense perspective. I was so frightened when you say like about the aggressions. It means like it's attack from another country, but I try to see the more what has been done, what has been happened within the territory, which is about the maritime terrorism. This is actually the research, joint research between the ICLOS and also Indonesian Coast Guard or Bakamla, and we try to we see the issue of the maritime security, which is quite threatening to Indonesia, and find the solution. What is the best solution to counter this issue? And this is the outline. I would talk about first. Let's see about the definitions and the cases about the maritime terrorism. What is maritime terrorism? What makes it different with other crimes? And we will see the legal instruments from international, regional, and also national. Afterwards, I will try to explain about the challenges that we face, particularly in Indonesia, and state practices and on counter-terrorism, and finally on how to deal with the risk of the maritime terrorism. First, as you might see, this is the map. This is the shipping flow passing through Indonesia, as has been described also by the previous speaker, that the territory of Borneo Islands, Sulawesi, and also Philippines. We also are neighboring to Malaysia. This area, as we call this, the hotspot area, is really prone to the maritime terrorism, and we see that the color green and red showing that the Southeast Asia region is one of the densest maritime traffic in the world. And this can be for trade, transportations, etc. And this situation makes us the security of our marine is also prone. So, because we found that the functions of the sea is not only for transporting people and goods or trades, but behind that we found many cases that there are a lot of criminals which is infiltrate with this shipping and navigation issue within the area. The hotspots area such as the South China Sea, Malacca Strait, Philippine Sea with Palawan, Sulu, Sulawesi Strait, and the Java Sea and Sunda Strait are very prone to be misused by the perpetrators of the crimes. What actually the crimes that say that possibly, and we can say that happens. I see it from the three categories. First, about regarding the property or goods, we know there are a lot of UUF, the illegal fishing, armed robbery, piracy, smuggling, and smuggling of goods, wildlife, drugs, cultural property. It happens. And secondly, I categorize it as the human-related issues, which talk about crimes such as people smuggling, human trafficking, slavery. And the last one is about the use of technology. The development of technology also influences the development of the criminals of the crimes at sea. And these are the actions that what happened, the crimes at sea is not based on our finding. It's not merely a crime which stands alone. However, we found that it really related to the transnational organized crimes. As the Palermo Conventions explain us what are actually the requirements of a transnational organized crimes. First, there is a structure of the organization which more than 3 persons, and there's the aim of committing a crime or serious crime within the convention. The Palermo Convention talking about the transnational crimes, including people smuggling, human trafficking, illegal drugs, illicit drugs and weapons, etc. And this objective of the not objective, the aim of these criminal crimes is to obtain financial or other monetary benefits, directly or indirectly. And another characteristic, of course, that this is cross-border. The cross-border means including in the planning, organizing, acting, and in controlling. Seems it's very manageable. It can be possible that the plan is, for example, made in Indonesia, but the one who organized it is in Malaysia, but the actual act is happened in Philippines. And there's somebody out there in another country who will control about this crime. So that's the issue of the transnational organized crimes. And the Palermo Convention said the action itself, the crime itself, can be committed only in one state. However, the organized groups was like spreading in several states. So it makes a crime as a transnational organized crimes. Now I'm moving on to the issue of the maritime terrorism. Is it something new? Actually, it's not something really new. If you looking back at the 1985, the case of the Achille in this case, there's a militant of PLF. It's a Palestine Liberation Front. They demanded to release 50 hostages by the Israel, but it was refused. So what they did, they entering the Achille. It's a cruise ship, and they asked to head it to Syria, and they were refused. And as the U.S. and Italian refused them, this Achille is actually the ships with the Italian flag. So because they're disappointed, so it's in short, they shot an American Jewish and threw the body overboard. And still, they try to go to another place. They asked to go to another place. Still, they are refused. But then it's quite a long story. But at the end, in short, the Yasser Arafat at the time sent his persons to mediate about the case. They finally land in Egypt and then left Egypt. But however, they were again captured in the next stop. However, I will just highlight not about the what are the violations of the international law, but about the terrorism itself. They were finally caught by the authority of Italy, and they were tried and sentenced 15 to 30 years imprisonment. This case was considered as a landmark case for the maritime terrorism, which is acknowledged by the international community. And beside that, the impact of the 9/11, as you might know, and then the terrorism in Middle East, Al Qaeda, Taliban, etc. ISIS also. So you heard from the media some times ago that they try to infiltrate coming to our countries, especially Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and try to spread their ideology here. And they are entering the territory of by the sea, either legally or illegally. And the target is they coming through not a big port, but a small port or traditional, with low supervisions of the authority. And we also acknowledge the terrorist group, as the previous presenter also mentioned, the Abu Sayyaf group. We have Moro Islamic Liberation Front and Jamaah Islamiyah. Abu Sayyaf Moro are in the Philippines. However, the Jamaah Islamiyah we have it also some of the issue of the terrorists found them in Indonesia, Malaysia, and around. Okay, these are the map where are the terrorists usually the distributions of the terrorists within the territory of Southeast Asia. This one showing the area of Borneo, South Sulawesi, and also Philippines. So this is why it's so important. And what about the maritime terrorism in Indonesia? If we see the trend of the maritime terrorism in the Southeast Asia region, it was started in 2004. When Abu Sayyaf group blew up the MV Super Very 14 in Manila Bay and claiming 116 lives. And there are a lot of cases that Indonesian fishermen were caught by the Abu Sayyaf, and they asked for the ransom. We call it as a kidnap for ransom motives for they to obtain to reach their goals. The Sea of the North Sulawesi, South Philippines, is Malaysia are the hotspots for maritime tourism. are also known as 3 border areas. This mentions as in Sulawesi, Palawan, Sabah, Mindanao, and North Sulawesi, which is quite also close. If you see the map, it's quite close to the Borneo. I don't know whether it can be possibly a high risk to the security of the new IKN in the future. And what are actually the motives or the activities or the mode that they were conducted by these terrorists, the activity of these terrorists? First, they do the kidnapping for ransom to fund their operations and weapons. This is a favorite motives by the Abu Sayyaf. And they also have somehow they have a maritime asymmetric ability to control logistical flows, terrorist militants, and funding. So they it's not only like they just arbitrarily coming robbering some ship, but they have strategic. This is the skill that they have that we must be very careful about. And then people and goods smuggling for terrorist act. The people smuggling, yeah, like I mentioned before, they were probably trained in the by the terrorist group somewhere out there in the like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or whatsoever, and they're coming here try to train another new militias or new terrorist groups or forces, if we may say so. And also there are a lot of smuggling of weapons. It's not only firearms, but it can be chemical, biological, any kind of weapons that can support this terrorist act. What else that they do? They do the armed robbery. They do the piracy. This is what makes things different. I will explain it later. And the motive that they're entering the small traditional port, as I mentioned previously. What happened then when they're entering the small, usually the isolated place or small island, which is low supervision? They conduct illegal military training. They make it as a base, home base, and to develop their strategy. What they start getting is not only ships, but also port. It can be big port or small port, traditional one. It's so they try to getting everything possible. They do the navigation blockade. This is the increasing of the technology. They are not only traditional one, but they can use the high technology to make a navigation blockade. And the other aspect that the other act that they do, they try to blow the ship, and then it causing us oil spill, so it damage the environment. So there are a lot of impact of this terrorist act to the marine safety and security, including the environment. And as previous mentions, that the targeting ships and the explosions of the bombs can bring maximum risk to the human and also the environment, because when say that the ship was exploded, and it is quite difficult to give fast assistance to the victims instead compared to what if it happens in the land. So, and also the ship sinks, and then also marine environment broken, and all the goods there are a lot of calculations of the economic loss, which is a maximum risk. And there's also a possibility the risk of the terrorist maritime militia, as I mentioned before, that recruiting new people. The maritime security and safety for sure. The marine environment is also threatened. And what they usually do with this sea is they make it as a media for smuggling and illegal trade in weapons. There's also a case of the suicide bomb. It was also happened. The case was reported conducted by the Palestinian Liberation Front, but it was like years ago, like in 80s. And what other risks, false documents of the ship, so it can causing a difficult jurisdictions to apply, unclear identity of the ship. So it's if there's something, if there's violation, it will be difficult to ask the responsibility of whose state is this. And international trade, of course, will be hampered, which not only disrupt economic, but also food security and public welfare in general, because I mentioned previously, they do a blockade in navigation, so they don't care whether the food is going to the needed, for example, say for the people in war, as long as it's for their interest, so they just don't care about it.
I'm terribly sorry. It's
Yes,
just
yes.
2 minutes left.
Okay, thank you for reminding me. So we try to identify the legal instruments. It found like 11 instruments. We'll go fast with this. Regional instruments also about 11, and national instruments is about 11 or 13. But basically what we see if we're talking about the law, we're talking about the UNCLOS. However, the UNCLOS does not regulate about maritime terrorism. It's only talk about armed robbery and piracy. As I mentioned in the beginning, that there's a differences between these actions, that the first, when we talk about the armed robbery, the resolutions of saying that the character of the armed robbery is within the state internal waters, archipelagic waters, and territorial sea. While the piracy under the UNCLOS is an illegal act of violence of detention, but it happens in the high seas or outside the jurisdictions of any states. So that makes it different between the piracy and also armed robbery. And the other, what makes it different with the maritime terrorism, that maritime terrorism has the ideology of a terrorist, which they found to search some ideology. It's not for the self-interest like a financial or commercial or anything. It's not for personal purpose, but for the maritime terrorism, there's a purpose of the ideological goals. If we see the definitions of terrorism, there are a lot of illegal instruments saying about this, not exact definitions, but if I may conclude, the character of the terrorism is they utilize violence to spread fear and to obtain the ideological goals. Basically, they're talking the same. So that's the difference between the armed robbery, piracy, and maritime terrorism. They track to ideological goals, not for the benefit of like financial benefit, but how they do this, how they manage themselves. They do armed robbery and also piracy to make a living of themselves, to what we call it, to make the operation smooth. And this is the regional instruments. We already have that. There are a lot of joint statesmen. Unfortunately, we already but the good thing, we already have a good ASEAN Convention on Counterterrorism, means we have quite legal strong basis. And this is the national instruments. If we talk about the particular terrorist act, we have particular terrorism act. We also ratified the Convention on the Financing Terrorists, and we also have the penal code. Probably not straightforward saying about terrorism, because there we have special law for that, but all the regulations saying about that. What about the implementations of these instruments? So if we see, if you look at the UNCLOS. Yes,
Really sorry, actually your time is over. Could
Okay.
you please jump into
Can I have
conclusion?
1 minute? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll come to the conclusions that this we have the law enforcement, that there's a criminal jurisdictions of a state if it happened in the territorial. However, if also in the EEZ, but we have the challenges of this counter fighting of the terrorism, because community resistance, the applicable regime of the sea, the overlapping authority at the sea. So basically, the law are good, but the implementation, which is quite difficult. We have so many institutions working in this in the sea, so that's one of the challenges. But we also have opportunities. We already have this legal basis. So what we have to do is like, if we compare to other states, we have similar problem, but we already make a cooperation together, joint operation, co-working together. So cooperation between institutions within Indonesia itself and also the ASEAN in particular in the three border areas are really recommended. And another issue is that the SUA Convention. The SUA Convention is one of the most important convention to as a legal ground to counter terrorism. So I think that's my presentation. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Orin. It's really informative, and I think now the audience have a lot of questions to asking about maritime terrorism. But please on hold, and we will jump into our last speaker on this session, Mr. Muhammad Adri. You could begin your presentation, and you may begin.
All right. Thank you.
You may start. I'm sorry.
Sure. Hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Tajin, and in this occasion, I would like to present to all of you an address regarding about the typology of the crimes at Indonesian territorial sea. And I would like, believe, will be next slide. All right. Regarding the cases that crimes in Indonesia in territorial sea, I would like to believe that this is going to be the four sections of my presentation. The first is background, second is methods, third is result, and the fourth is a conclusion. Next agenda. Next slide. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, can see these pictures. I believe that is just archipelago of Indonesia and the capital city of Jakarta. And how this is a relevance of the pictures. The first pictures, I believe that Indonesia, the fact is Indonesia is the two of the three is also the sea rather than the land. 70% of Indonesia is the main of the archipelago is also the sea. It's already concerning about how this going to be issue of the we have a lot of the archipelago. We have the many populations, like the capitals of Jakarta, will back then going to be moving to the next in the Ibu Kota Nusantara in Kalimantan. I believe that we have 70% sea and 30% land, and that makes us the most highest population, number 4 in the world. And what is going to be concerned about it? What is going to be problems if we have the high population, if we have the main sea, and what is going to be relevant in the future? Maybe we can move into the next slide. Next slide. Yes, this. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participant, we can see that every news and how is the implication of the effect of the Indonesia. We have the largest islands, we have the largest resources, but there is also the impactful, like foreign illegal fishing, exploit of the resources, and all about the sea protection about the issue itself. Next. So, I would like to address more briefly, more concerning, will be next slide. How about we can also identify the problems itself with the two main questions. First is what are the types of the crimes that occur in the Indonesia territorial sea, and second, and how law enforces against those crimes. Next. The methods are also using the doctrinal research, so with the legal frameworks in terms of national and international perspective, and an instrument that also define how the social legal frameworks is. Maybe next slide. All right, result and discussion. Next. All right. This is about maybe different visually. Right. Maybe ladies and gentlemen just know about ALKI. In bahasa we call it alur laut kepulauan Indonesia. Or we just say about the archipelagic lanes of sea, ISL. So what is ALKI itself? What is archipelagic sea of the lanes of Indonesia? So as a country that has ratified the international sea law convention, there are legally obligation and responsibility of our Indonesia to ratify them. In Article 51, we can also conclude that international sea law convention in more concerning about how the specific section and routes undertaken by determining archipelagic sea lands. So after the long process, Indonesia is also concluding and make the ratification in 2002 about the concept of the ALKI itself. And it's also the approval by the neighboring countries, such as like Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and how we can also divide this kind of the largest islands of Indonesia to mix the 4 lands of the archipelagic islands for the specific each of the archipelago itself. So it's gonna be more easier for Indonesia to maintain and to supervise, and how we can also concrete about this kind of the security of the maritime issue itself, because we have the largest island and number 4 in the world. So, but back then, it's not that easy, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to address more about how this gonna be, it's defined of ICLOS is gonna be more concrete. Like this ISL 1, ladies and gentlemen can see how they cover. Like ISL 1 is gonna be cover about shipping from the South China Sea across the Malacca Strait, Natuna Sea, Kalimantan Strait, Java Sea, and so on. Maybe next slide. So, based on the research, there's also most dominating the crime types in the LQ1 region is also the three main crime, such as smuggling. We have 70 smuggling in the ISL1. We have 35 illegal fishing, and we have 15 marine pollution. It's also the report by the Indonesian Coast Guard, and also how the agency also recapitulates also currently how this transforms increasing the cases moreover and moreover. Maybe this is going to be highlight that the dominating crime in the ALKI or the ISL1 is also this. Next. We have foreign illegal fishing in Natuna Sea with the highest cases that we have in the April 2021. We can see in we have 100 in also consists automatic education system and satellite imagery. And I would like to conclude that gonna be more briefly cases that gonna be explained in the next section about. Next, we have the contraband smuggling. Next slide, please. Yes, we have the contraband smuggling that it consists about goods, fuel oil, animal, wood, alcohol, drugs, and also arms. This is the result of the recapitulation of the number of the violation of the law and disturbance the marine security and safety, especially in ISL1 in 2022. We know the highest cases is also about smuggling of the animal itself that we can see on the table. This is an annual report of the recapitulation of the Indonesian Coast Guard based on 2022 report. Yes. Maybe next slide. All right, this is malicious foreign crimes. It also consists, ladies and gentlemen can see the table that we don't have any cases in August and September, but we have the highest in October and more reducing with the total like oil spills, fish bombing, garbage and ship waste disposal, chemical spills with the total case 18. And this is also from the Indonesian Coast Guard report. Next. We're moving on to the next strait. It's also about the Malacca Strait. How is Malacca Strait cover many islands in Indonesia? So we have the consist of many cases. Maybe next slide. Such as like the piracy and armed robbery. We have the highest case in 2025 and more decrease until 2023. And more concerning about the Straits of Malacca and Singapore. The number has increased from 2022, which amount to 50-50 case in total, and 45% proof is compared to case occurred between January until October 2022, which were 40-44 with the same cases. Maybe next slide. So this is the roadmap of the how the SOMSC looking for, like gentlemen can see the greens, blue, orange, and the purple part. The most of the cases is also concerned about the bullet carrier. That also we define this kind of the report, and this is the lens that actually more specific. How also the concern about the neighboring countries protection and how this going to be law enforcement that more concerned about. We can discuss more how this going to be also decrease and currently for transforms the more solution and for more like legal frameworks that are going to be addressed for the issue. Next, we have drug smuggling. Totally, Indonesia, it's also really potential causes that also hype. Let's can see the table itself. We have the highest cases in 2038, which the total case and total weight with grams that the drugs circulation was noted 3.2 tons. How amazing that gonna be the numbers that the issue that gonna be drugs for all of us. It's also the cases from Malaysia in 2021 reached 120 cases. Although this is a slight decrease compared to 2029, which reached 155 cases. And this is also data from the Directorate General Custom and Excise, Ministry of the Finance, Republic of Indonesia. Moreover, it's not only about this kind of the issue. We can also highlight the more cases moreover. Next. So this is the roots of the how this gonna be the operation and how the transforms drugs dealer is also moving to the sea. So drug trafficking routes in the Malacca Strait, including Aceh, North Sumatra, and Riau. They're starting from them. As a gateway for drug smuggling, the geographical proximity between the Riau province and Malaysia could pose a threat because the Malacca Strait is a gateway for narcotics into Indonesia. So this is gonna be more concerning about how this law enforcement and how the protection of each borders to maintain this narcotics. So maybe we can also concern about how this is going to be more specific solution about the legal issue. Next. So fun fact, we have 80 until 90% drugs enter Indonesia by the sea on the coast of the Malacca Strait and Kalimantan and southern West Java, and the drugs were smuggled from the various drug production sites abroad, such as Golden Triangle, Golden Nutrition, and also Golden Pigeon. That also going to be currently transformed until now. Next. All right, okay. We have another cases that illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing, such as this is also the main cases all over the region of the ISL 1, 2, 3, and the Malacca Strait. IUUF is also main concern. We, ladies and gentlemen, can see how the increase of the table of the cases from 2021, 2022, until 2023, we have more than 15 cases. It consists of Indonesian fishing vessels and foreign fishing vessels back then. Next. Not only that, we have also concern about the human trafficking and people smuggling, how this potential and how this causes of this region of each borders of the ALKI or ISL itself. At the end of the March 2023, the head of Indonesian Migrant Worker Protection believed that trafficking syndicate deliberately certified on one of their boats to be sent to attract the attention by the authorities. So I would, the law enforcement, once again, we talk about how this going to be borders is also one main protection to this kind of the issue. Listeners can also look the table, how it also the suspects, how the performance and how the improvements of the cases that also more diverse in many borders. In Malaysia and Batam, Malacca Strait, and yeah, it's also being the concern about in Singapore, Kuala Lumpur. Maybe we can also next to the slide to talking about the end cases. Moving to the ISL2, introduction of ISL2, it's cover more specific about the Sulawesi Sea, Makassar Strait, Lombok Strait, Flores Sea, and support the East Kalimantan, which has become the location of our new capital city of Indonesia, Ibu Kota Nusantara. So now on, we more specific goes to the next slide. Yes, this is going to be the potential cause and currently more specific concern about all of us for our new capital city of Indonesia. Maybe next slide. This is the most dominant crimes types in the ALKI 2 regions. So the position is more strategic. This is the news data, the news report from Indonesian Coast Guard report. We have the illegal fishing for the most highest cases, smuggling of items, animal smuggling, drug smuggling, alcohol smuggling, and also illegal logging. So this is going to be currently pursuing how we also together to see how the improvements the cases they currently. This is the news report, and maybe will be going to be increasing moreover. Let's see how we do with the our new capital city in the and the most kind of the possible actions that we can do for this kind of solution. Next. This is going to be data armed robbery. It's also the highest rank, but it's also turned off in the 2019. Maybe we can also next slide for duration. Next slide. the roadmap of the armed robbery cases. In compromising, we have to recap the ICC by the Philippines Coast Guard. We also need to build for agreements between Indonesia to supervise and also to concern about specifically effectively about the armed robbery cases. Maybe next. Moreover to Alki 3, archipelagic sea lands of 3. Moreover, next, we have a point of the three segmentation, like ISL 3.A, ISL 3.B, and ISL 3.B. Maybe next. So the ISL Form G is also concerned about the human trafficking because there is also more east of Indonesia. Moreover, it also needs to be concluded that also is also rising over from 2016 until 2023. Back then, maybe we can also conclude about the many cases that moreover in the ISL 3. Next slide. Yeah, sure. Like, next. This is talking about the enforcement of issue, the national, international about the each archipelagic. We know that cooperation of the army, non-military, next the cooperation with other agencies such as like Ministry of Forestry, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Human Resources, Ministry of Agriculture, and so on. And also the point of the important things that number 3, cooperation with the native or the regional countries, which the efforts to improve the marine security to cooperate to implementation of the operation at the sea, especially for the operation carried out waters directly adjacent to the neighboring countries. Next. All right. Next again. I think it's the same. We also need to be concerned. Next slide again. Security cooperation between regional countries and how we also optimize our national law and how we also concern about the international law role in terms of empowering legal frameworks in terms of the solution that bringing solution for this kind of the issue. And next, international again in ISL 3, this is also like the Operation Gunner 7 bilateral efforts between Indonesia and Australia to detect, determine, to respond to illegal maritime activity, and which took place on 18 and 27 May. This is just like the evidence how Indonesia efforts to facing this kind of the problems in the future. But also, this is going to be a wise solution for us to bringing collaboration with the other countries in our regional to facing this kind of archipelagic issue and maritime moreover in the future. I think that's all for my last presentation. Thank you for attention, and I was looking forward for the question and answer session.
Okay, give applause for our last speaker and all 3 speakers. Thank you very much. It's really interesting to see about the Nusantara capital from marine defense perspective. Also, we have to deal with international shipping and risk of maritime terrorism, which is now I believe is close to the Sulu area, just more close, and we haven't know what's will going on in the future, and also a typology of crimes and Indonesian territorial sea also is very interesting development to understand more. So we've reached a discussion session. I will open for 3 participants who would like to ask to our speaker. Please raise your hand. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. My name is Arif, and I am from the study program of International Relations. And my question especially to Mbak Klorin. Actually, I have 2 questions. First questions regarding the issue of maritime terrorism. I believe that what can be described as crimes of maritime terrorism basically just a tip of an iceberg. And then terrorism is not something suddenly appear by night. It is something historically and politically processed and constructed, however. In the context of international law, is there any effort that been done regarding root cause of maritime terrorism? That is my first question. And then the second question is, I think my second question is probably kind of childish or even ridiculous, I think. It is interesting to know that sea and ocean in Southeast Asia, especially, are among the busiest route ever in the world. It means that there are so many presence of different actors, from state actors to non-state actors within the region, within the area, from United States, Australia, China, and so on and so forth. Yet the maritime terrorism issues exist. Why is this happen, by the way? Is international, multinational presence there not enough to spook off the maritime terrorists? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. It's really interesting. Your question. I hope Ms. Orion have answer for that interesting question. So, would you like to answer it first, or we should waiting for another? There is anyone would like to ask? Okay, maybe Ms. Orion, could you please answer that question first before we move to another question? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mas Arif, if I'm not mistaken. It's very interesting question. Yes, I do agree that the maritime terrorism is not like a sudden crime. Or it was, of course, it was like something which I would call it as a tip of iceberg. But is there any effort to find the root problems of the maritime? What is the cause of the maritime terrorism? Well, the legal measures to find the root. Well, actually, maritime terrorism basically is the issue of the ideological. So there's it cannot be figured by the law itself, but law rather has a function to regulate how to counter this, or how states to face these situations. To find the root, I think that will be the area of sociology or political science, not from a legal perspective. What we've been trying to do is like to make a agreement between states and cooperations how to cope with this, because this is all related to many aspects: criminal law, human rights, and even the legal definitions of a terrorist, it's not agreed yet, even though we already have a draft conventions on which one of them define what terrorism is, but it's still a draft. It's not agreed yet by the state. So I would say it's not that easy if we find the root issue from the legal perspective. And why the maritime terrorism still exists while the situations is like everybody is there watching, but as I mentioned, they are quite smart, if I may say, because they have a good strategy. Many because this crime is not trying to gain financial benefit or like robbery, so they really think strategically. And as I mentioned previously, they infiltrate. They come with the ideology. They know if they come in Philippines. The Philippines have a list of people who are indicated to be in a terrorist groups. If they come to the big port, like a normal with the strong supervisions of the authority, it will be difficult for them to move. But they also know in the area of the Southeast Asia, we have many small traditional ports, and that's the way they entering the territory, which is quite difficult to trace. So that's the strategy. But yes, the international cooperation still working together how to cope with this. What we can do is how to prevent, and if we found them, how to give them like kind of proper punishment to them with a fair trial, for example. And what I can say in Indonesia itself, we have many cases of the terrorists, but and they using sea as a media. None of the case which was brought to the court saying that they do the terrorism in the at sea. That's in Indonesia case, but that will be different if you see the Somalian case. And the area within the African countries. I think that's my response.
Sabah and Sarawak, I believe. So it's really make us headache with maritime terrorism. And is there any further question from audience? Maybe could we see on Zoom? Maybe there is a audience on Zoom. Oh, there is one. Could you show? Oh, yes, sir. Please, sir or ma'am, you raise hand. Please open your camera and introduce yourself and deliver your question.
Hello.
Hello, Prof.
Is it for me? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I wasn't, I have difficulties because my internet was for a few minutes closed. So anyway, I'm very amazed with Corinne's presentation because actually this is something that I was going to ask this morning because the TCA happens only, if I'm not mistaken, 2017, right? The joint together working cooperation in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Okay. And however, since we are considering the Borneo area, the Kalimantan area, I remember we have some difficulties with boundaries with our neighbors around there. Now, if something happens only within the archipelagic waters, how would that impact the TCA and any other kind of cooperation in maintaining whatever the problem we have in that area? Thank you.
Thanks, Prof, for your question.
That's my question.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
And Ms. Orin, would you like to answer Prof at the question?
Okay, thank you, Prof, for attending this event. Thank you also for the questions. That's a very interesting one. Yes, we all have the issue and the board issue, but I think the join the TCA, I think, is still that's one of the solution, I think, because this is like not the problem of or the issue of one state only, but it's our problems. I mean, like particularly in Southeast Asia. And the good thing is that at least from our previous research, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Philippines, we work together and we have the same view and perspective on how to deal with this. And I think it will strengthen the positions, our position in countering terrorism, in particular in maritime, in the ASEAN in particular. I think that's my response.
I see. Can I add a question?
Yes,
with regard to, I remember at one time we have some problem because some of the people who we consider to be the terrorism, they move, they hide within the Philippine areas. And we have a cooperation with the Philippines in order to get those terrorism. Does it still work these days?
Yes. The good thing, alhamdulillah, it still works. So we work very close with the between the Coast Guard. If I from these 3 years observations, we work close together, particularly with the Philippines, because the Abu Sayyaf, the Moro, and we know the issues of there are several cases that Indonesian fishermen were caught, and we work together with in that, and also with the Malaysians.
How should we oversee this with the EKN now? the location of
yes.
IKN? How are we going to oversee this problem?
I think it's to be supposed to, because the area is it's even closer. Because when what we see is something we see from the Java Island, I mean, like from Jakarta particular, but we see that the infiltrations of the terrorist groups which try to recruiting the new members are actually happen in those remote area, which probably we found the issues in Sulawesi and also the Borneo. We don't really get the exact or accurate facts, but we know that is very possible because it's very close to Sulu, and they travel even by the traditional small boat, but they can do that. So I think it's very important to oversee this issue, particularly for the upcoming IKN. It's very important to see for Indonesia. It's a serious threat, I suppose, because we experienced the issue of the terrorists since ages, and like the previous participant asked, why it's still not, why it's still there, means like we still have to work with this quite hard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
And I would like to invite all the audience in Zoom and here in Samarinda to deliver your question to our speakers. Maybe is there any in Zoom? Is there still any question in Zoom? No? Is there anyone would like to ask? Okay, maybe if there's no question, I should end this session, if that's okay. I would like to give a big thanks to our three speakers for their wonderful presentation, and please give a big applause for our three wonderful speakers in this session. And for that, I will give my baton to MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the moderator and the speakers. The discussion has given us a knowledge specifically about marine threat at Indonesia territorial sea. Let's give applause to those wonderful speakers and moderator. All right, the next event is a coffee break. The coffee break is scheduled for 15 minutes, so we will back at 15 p.m.
Thank you.
Dear, Dear audience, after the coffee break, now we move on to the discussion session 3. In the session, we will be guided by the lecturer of International Law Department, Faculty of Law Mulawarman University, Mr. Sukri Hidayatullah SH, MH. But before that, let me read the moderator's profile first. Mr. Sukri Hidayatullah SH, MH, as a lecturer in Faculty of Law Mulawarman University since 2017, has completed his Bachelor of Laws at the Faculty of Law Mulawarman University in 2007 and obtained a Master of Laws from Padjajaran University in 2015. Now, Mr. Shukri pursuing his doctorate at the University of Amsterdam in Netherlands. To Mr. Sukri Hidayatullah SH, MH, time and place are yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and it's nice to see you back here in this room to have this seminar done in this last panel of the session. And according to this booklet, we still have 3 presenters left. Taufik Nugraha, Mahendra Putra Kurnia, and Gusman Siswandi. To all the presenters, you are cordially welcome to the stage, please. Pak Taufik. Sukri. Pak Gusman. First of all, we have to know a bit detail about our presenters today, and let us know about themselves by first hand. So we would like to know Pak Taufik, Pak Gusman, and Pak Mahendra. Would you please kindly tell us about your education, career, or about your research interests? Pak Taufik, kindly please.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, sir, for opening the session. And yeah, my name is Taufik Rahmat Nugraha. Now I'm a research associate at Center for International Law at National University of Singapore. And my research focus on my job is on ocean law, but I specified it on maritime satellite and satellite for navigation. I'm trying to understand about the ship connectivity and the future technology of shipping navigation and security from the satellite side. I graduated from Universitas Padjajaran on my master, but my thesis is my master's thesis is not directly correlated with law of the sea, but it's like comparison between law of the sea and space law. I'm talking about the Mars environment and comparison with chapter 11 of UNCLOS. And so, next to me is my supervisor, and I never imagined that I will be at one panel with him, and it's kind of surprise and very stressful. And of course, my boss is watching me to do something, but I have no idea what's going on here. But yeah, I do my best lah, actually. So yeah, that's for me actually.
So,
thank you.
How long been you living in Singapore?
About 11 months. Yeah, about 11 months.
11 months, because I hear that distinctive accent. Is that Singlish?
Yeah, actually I can change my accent into German, into Singlish, or whatever you want. I mean, when I'm nervous. So if you help me like this, I'm totally nervous.
Oh, okay. Okay, next to Pak Taufik is his supervisor. And Pak Gusman, please be easy on Taufik.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you can please start.
Thank you very much, Pak Shukri. I've been already introduced actually in the first session as the moderator, but I would like to introduce myself again. So my name is Gusman Siswandi. I am a lecturer at the Universitas Padjajaran Faculty of Law, and I'm also a researcher at the Indonesian Center for the Law of the Sea. And yeah, I've been teaching since 1999 and supervising number of students, including Taufik. Taufik was one of my best students, so I was also, I got plenty of assistance during his years at the Indonesian Center for the Law of the Sea. So the video profile that I showed earlier was made and prepared by Taufik, and also our logo, the ICLOS logo, was also prepared by Taufik. So thank you very much, Taufik, for all of that. No need to be nervous. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Gusman. So from Singapore to Bandung, and we are to leaving Bandung for Samarinda. So next to me is the host and the Dean of Faculty of Law, the person who I know years ago. So but for the audience, maybe we want to know something about him. So please, Pak Hendra.
Okay, actually Mr. Sukri already give a description about me, and just like Mr. Gusman said that I already known in the morning session. And in last 6 years, I was as a dean in Faculty of Law, and one of the fantastic four of our lecture of International Law Department. Okay, I think it's enough.
That's
because
enough.
Most of participant in here is already knows me.
I believe so. Okay, shall we start the first presenters from Taufik Nugraha. Are you willing to give now, Pak Taufik? No? Yeah. So, it's about development for maritime security application. You will have 15 minutes, and I will remind you for the last 5 or 3 minutes before the end of the time. Taufik Nugraha, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. It's a really nice introduction because I think everyone a bit sleepy today, and we just now want to chill session and don't want to get discuss about serious thing. I think it's ugly. Okay, so after the last 2 sessions, we discussed much about the serious thing. Now we move to about the technology that's one of my specialties. I hope so. I would talking much about the satellite is really correlated with the future technology on maritime. And let's start from the first slide. Yeah. So we now actually low Earth orbit, or low Earth orbit is basically the definition of the altitude that between 100 up to 1,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. And this technology just coming from the late 19 with the Iridium satellite. That's Iridium satellite at the time also have a specific specification for the maritime navigation, because scientists back in 90s are believed that low Earth orbit satellite have the more precise for the connection, for the connectivity, has low timing for the connection between ship to ship, ship to berth, and ship to satellite or uplink and downlink speed. And third, low Earth orbit satellite also have a benefit. They could reach a polar region that we know a polar shipping route. Maybe probably in decades later, they will open the polar shipping route, and low Earth orbit satellite could reach a polar region easily because it's circling the Earth. So if you see, if you see, there is the second pictures. There is Mio and Leo. There is currently we are basically using medium Earth orbit and geostationary orbit. So there is three different orbit for the satellite technology, but basically, if we're talking about navigation in Mars technology, we will talking about medium Earth orbit and geostationary orbit, which is have big latency and also have the disadvantage because they cannot reach the polar region. But if you see the LEO, they have a smaller scope of signal, but they can reach everywhere in the world. Maybe the operator can open the link that I sent to see the current movement of the low Earth orbit satellite. I think it will be more interesting to see. Yeah, could you zoom in, please? And you could please just click at the white dot anywhere. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. This is what called as low Earth orbit satellite. This is about Starlink. They approximately floating in 550 and up to 1,000 kilometers above Earth's surface. So this technology can be reached, could reach a vessel and during their deep sea voyage that it's like impossible to using terrestrial-based telecommunication line, which is could just only reach up to 30 kilometers. So when they are in deep voyage, they really rely on the satellite technology. And move to the next slide. I think you could close this. Move to my slide, please. And, oh, sorry. So, the next question about, after we understand a bit about low Earth orbit satellite, we shall raise a question because until now we doesn't have any regulation to regulate low Earth orbit satellite. So earlier I mentioned about geostationary orbit. Geostationary orbit basically is regulated under ITU convention and radio regulation. And every 4 years they will gather together between scientists and policymakers in World Radio Conference. And now in Dubai, it's ITU WRC 2023. However, before that, for geostationary orbit that already exists for maritime navigation, ITU, IMO, and IMSO is working together, but mostly only to tackle about the radio spectrum. It's not about the slot allocation or for the access, the equitable access. So that's a problem because if we're talking about geostationary orbit, there is regulation under ITU that every country who wish to launch their satellite into geostationary orbit should seek a permission from ITU and have have a permission and authorization from ITU, because ITU will regulate which slot are free and which slot you can use. But in low Earth orbit, there is no such thing. So it's bring us confusion about, because if you see and at the website that I show you, there is 1,000 of satellites. Now, approximately, there is already 5,439 satellites for the low orbit from one company, like a SpaceX. SpaceX will wish to launch about 40,000 satellites. Rwanda already filled the declaration. They wish to launch about 40,000+. Opcom will launch about 1,000 satellites, etc., etc. Okay, what's the big deal about that? So the big deal is, if low Earth orbit satellite couldn't regulate as soon as possible, it will resulted in congested space area, that it will affecting on the maritime navigation signal, especially that maritime or ship or vessel that use low Earth orbit satellite technology, such as maybe in the future we will see autonomous ship that will heavily rely on low Earth orbit satellite. But in other way, despite, I mean, like beside low Earth orbit satellite for navigation, also it's really important to enhancing the maritime security. Because what? Because the lower altitude and produce a strong signal, they can trace any ship passing through their waters, even though they are turn off their AIS, or automated identification system. Later I will show you about how they can trace it without AIS. So then the picture next from those logo is how the simplification of how the GPS satellite or Marsat satellite work. So they send a signal, the ship send a signal to Marsat, they send from the satellite, they send to command center on shore. So the next slide. Oh, sorry, wait. So there is Marsat from Law of the Sea Convention perspective, especially for security. Article 19, we're talking much about the innocent passage. So, Article 25, it's about the right of protection of coastal states. 39, that is the ship aircraft during transit passage. Article 40, research and survey activities. And we know that Chinese ship, it's Yuan Wang. They several times turn off the AIS when they are passing Sunda Strait several years ago, based on the IOG report. And all these matters could, if the ship that passing Indonesian water or water from another countries, they turn off the AIS, you know, like they trying to do something nasty in the waters. How the coastal state knows about their position, what's going on this vessel, because we have limitation on the apparatus, we have a limitation on ship to patrol, to keep an eye about these matters, right? I mean, come on, we can use the satellite technology because it could as a reconnaissance and surveillance is from above, and there is a scope of surveillance is pretty much big, so we can know and we can understand easily what's going on, and it could enhance the efficiency of coastal state patrol. They can know, where exactly some ships, some vessel doing some suspicious activities, so they could know easily. So Marsat in the future, I divided into 4 purposes, especially for maritime entertainment, for ship control. It will become on the future generation of ship. Also for navigation, mass and e-navigation, and for security, as I said earlier, it's recognition and surveillance. And next is, we're talking about the opportunities. As you see that new satellite-based technologies as a game changer for Indo-Pacific maritime security. When we're talking about the maritime security, it's not only a ship, but we could monitor other ships from other countries, like government ship that passing through, maybe we are not like them. They are doing some that Indonesia doesn't like about, or coastal state doesn't like about, like they are drilling in the territorial waters, they're drilling some in, I don't know, it's a lot of things to do, but we could see from the satellite, this is, the next of this image is like, whoa, we can see, there are a lot of vessels passing through Indonesian waters, but this is only if they are turned on their AIS. But how we could know if they are turned off their AIS? Like China and Guangxi, sorry, I forget the name, but there is a Chinese vessel often come to Indonesian water, especially through the Indonesia Sea Land Passage too. They are doing, we suspect they are doing some scientific research during the passage to Indonesian waters, because if you see Indonesia Sea Land Passage, it's like from Palawan to Darwin, it's really for the strategic matter. And as we know, Darwin, there is a US military base. So I think we should keep an eye on that matters, right? So this is for the pictures, the real threat from Indonesia, because we trying to figure out, especially for the research, we have to define what is research. It's for the scientific research or for the military research. So some ship, they are, they keep turn on and turn off their AIS to avoid Indonesian authority trace them, because under UNCLOS you cannot do some research without coastal state consent. So this is interesting question, how we could know if they are there, if we couldn't see, if we are doing patrol and we couldn't see anything, because as I said, the patrol is limited. So the question is about the satellite technology can see from above. And this is the last slide. This is the real technology that coming. They are called as radio frequency geolocators. So even though they are turned off their IS, they turn off their VHF, they are turned all the technology on the ship bridge. But the question is, they still have handphone with them. They still have satellite telephone with them. So they must have communication between their boss somewhere, maybe in Russia, maybe in North Korea or somewhere else. They have communication between them. So this satellite technology could trace through the emit radio frequencies, because our handphone, our handphone, our internet from your laptops is emit radio frequencies. So this satellite technology could trace the emission that radio frequencies are coming from seafarers, technology that they are used during doing some illegal activities, or when they are turned off the IS. So that's my last slide. I hope you could find some interesting about satellite for maritime security, but let's see, it's still under development of ITU, IMO, and IMSO. Also, there met a lot of scientists and engineers trying to build the sensor of this low Earth orbit satellite could enhance, for the security, maritime security purpose in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Nugraha, Taufik Nugraha, for your presentation about this application. It's very interesting how technology can affect the development of international law based on their how they operate on these transnational flows. Yeah, in case of the using of maritime security application. Yeah, will it be? Can we have a benefit from this or not? And then the next speaker is Mahendra Putra Kurnia, and he is about to deliver his presentation about virtual maritime gate as maritime security system in the Nusantara capital. Pak Mahendra, please, the floor is yours for 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shukri. Actually, this my presentation is related with Mr. Taufik delivered that maybe one of the technology in virtual maritime kit will use the satellite, because virtual maritime kit is our defense system, especially at the Nusantara capital, and maybe it will be more difficult to explain what is the virtual maritime gate, because I have an obstacle in order to give this explanation, because the literature of virtual maritime gate is very limited, because this is the new concept of Indonesian defense system. Or maybe our participant from Indonesian Navy can give more explanation, because this is their responsibility actually. Okay, for the first slide. Actually, next one. Okay, actually, the movement of Indonesian capital is already talked from since the morning until now, and I think this is common presentation that we already know that our capital will be moved in the near Penajam Pasir Utara and Kutai Kartanegara, or near Balikpapan. But the point of view is in my presentation is next, or I can use this. Okay, and the point of view of my presentation is the Ibu Kota Nusantara covers a land area of approximately 256, 142 hectare, and the seawater area approximately 68, 169 hectares. And the point is, in the east, they bordered with the Makassar Straits, and we already know that Makassar Straits is part of archipelagic sea lanes number 2 of Indonesia. So that's why we must know about virtual maritime gate. Next. Okay. Nah, this is the our sea lanes, archipelagic sea lanes, and the Makassar Strait is in here, and the new capital is in here, and in the east they have archipelagic waters or archipelagic sea lanes number 2, and this will be the implementation of virtual maritime gate as a defense system. Next. This is the same application, just like Mr. Taufik used. If done, please. If we look in the marinetraffic.com, so we can the real time of the movement of a vessel, the movement of craft, or the movement of the boat near the near the Kalimantan. Near the Malacca Strait. So, same with Mr. Taufik used, that if we click one dot, so we can see the information about the vessels. If we can see the movement of the vessel, the movement of the ship, every ship, a tanker ship or ordinary ship or trade ship or and the other vessels. Okay, next, you can close the application. Now, in this slide, we will see that the CIL-NUS archipelagic to in Strait of Makassar is very type of vessels, the movement of vessels. So in the perspective of defense, this kind of a threat. So there is so many vessels in the strait, not as much as in the Strait of Malacca, but in the Strait of Makassar is we have so many movement of vessels. And next. Now, just like I said before that, based on Article number 1, number 22 of Law of number 34 of Indonesian National Army, we define that threat is any effort and activity both from within the country and abroad that is considered to threaten or endanger state sovereignty, the territorial integrity of the state, and the safety of entire nation. So, in the perspective of defense system, the movement of vessels is a kind of threat. Is a kind of threat. So, next, still based on Indonesian army state defense. The military threats are threats that use organized armed force that is considered to have capabilities that endanger state sovereignty, state territorial integrity, and the safety of the entire nation. And the non-military threats are an armed effort or activity that are considered to have the ability to endanger or have implication for threatening state sovereignty and state integrity. So, if we talk about threat, we have two types of threat: military threats and non-military threats. And still, the movement of vessels in Strait of Malacca in the defense system is a kind of threat. And yeah, next. Now, the complexity of threat is classified into pattern and multidimensional types of threat in the form of military threats, non-military threats, and hybrid threats in the form of real and potential threats. So, if we look the pattern of our the geographic of our location in Strait of Makassar. So we neighboring with at least two countries, Philippines and Malaysia, that can that like in the previous session that we have so many threat in the Strait of Makassar. Nah, and then next. Now, this is the map of threat in the Strait of Makassar, because I have this presentation, I have this paper, I have this slide from Indonesian Navy in Tarakan. So they give, when we visiting in Tarakan, they give us, this is the map of a threat in the Strait of Makassar. So just like in previous session, they said that there is so many threat in Makassar Strait, like illegal fishing, like drug smuggling, like smuggling of wildlife or animal, and so many crimes in around the Makassar Strait. And next. Nah, that's the same data with the previous presentation. We have so many illegal fishing, smuggling, animal smuggling, drug smuggling, alcohol smuggling, illegal logging near the around the Makassar Strait, and we also have a trend piracy in Makassar Strait since 2060 until 2020, and in the 2060 is the most armed robbery case. At least there is 60 case armed robbery case in 2060. And next, that's why we need to studying about defense system, especially because of IKN is near the Strait of Malacca. In the east, they have Strait of Makassar in the east as a border. So in the Act of Ibu Kota Nusantara number 3 2022, they said that defense system in IKN is inseparable from the country defense development, which aims to build a formidable defense force that has deterrence capabilities as an archipelagic country and maritime country. The defense system in IKN is to deter, deny, and destroy defense threat. Defense system and strategies are pursued with smart defense. The point is smart defense, namely the synergy between hard defense in the form of military defense and soft defense in the form of non-military defense. So the point, the defense system in IKN is smart defense. And furthermore, this intelligent defense is synergized with total diplomacy as a form of dual defense system strategy. So the point in the defense system of IKN is smart defense. And one of the smart defense is applicated in the implementation of smart defense is virtual maritime gate. Next. What is, previous slide, okay. And what is the virtual maritime gate? Like I said in the beginning that I have an obstacles to get a journal or a book or something explain about virtual maritime gate, because it's the new concept, and virtual maritime gate is based on IKN Act in 2022. So the literacy about virtual maritime gate is very limited. And if we look in the IKN Act, in the Ibu Kota Negara Act, in the Annex 2, they said that virtual maritime gate is concept of defense system in IKN. A virtual maritime gate is a modern gate by utilizing gate building element in the form of modern technological system with imaginary architecture to ensure the movement of people, goods, and other instruments such as ships, boat, and the surface and the under the sea can be precisely quantified. So it's like Mr. Taufik's presentation that maybe this is the using of technology, in virtual maritime gates, because the defense system in IKN first is the point is smart defense, and the second is using technology. Virtual maritime gate is talk about technology. It's not talk about military force, but it's talk about technology. So we can imagine that virtual maritime gate is just like how to operate some of high technology to detect the movement of people, the movement of goods, the movement of ship, or the movement of vessel, or something movement in the Strait of Malacca. So The virtual maritime gate concept is using technology. Is talk about technology, not the military force. The military force is the second layer of virtual maritime gate. But virtual maritime gate based on modern technology. And the function of the IKN virtual maritime gate in the Makassar Strait is like I said before, to identify all form of floating objects or underwater object that across the Makassar Strait to the IKN. So the virtual maritime gate will be detect every movement, especially in the around of Makassar Strait. So the challenge of the virtual maritime gate is first, the challenge of the implementation of virtual maritime gate. The challenge of virtual maritime gate is the first is modern technology system. So I said that the point of virtual maritime gate is modern technology. And the second challenge is smart human resources. So we need smart, if we want to operate a smart application, so we have smart operator to operation the smart technology. And virtual maritime gate have a challenge to in military weapons as a second situation about to virtual maritime gate implementation. But the real challenge is how we can use or how we can buy the technology, because modern technology, high technology, and smart operator need a huge budget. So maybe the government or maybe the Indonesian Navy can help us how to make virtual maritime gate implementation as good as the concept, because we need modern technology, we need smart human, we need smart operator, and to fulfill the modern technology, the smart operator, we need a huge budget. So I don't know how to buy the technology and how to make our operator, our ini can operate the technology. And then the last is coordinating. Our challenge is to implement the virtual maritime gate is coordination between stakeholder. Not all of us knows about virtual maritime gate. Not all of stakeholder knows about virtual maritime gate. If we talk with the local government about virtual maritime gate, they don't know anything about or lack of information about virtual maritime gate. In last week, we going to one of the local government in East Kalimantan, and we discuss about virtual maritime gate, and they don't know what is virtual maritime gate, what kind of virtual maritime gate. So I think this is the obstacles, the challenge of the implementation of virtual maritime gate. All of us must know what is virtual maritime gate. Besides, we need a huge budget to make virtual maritime gate as good as the concept in the act of Ibu Kota Nusantara. I think that's my presentation. The point is virtual maritime gate is smart defense. Virtual maritime gates is talk about technology, and the challenges is how to fulfill the high technology and smart technology to implement the concept of virtual maritime gate. Thanks for your attention, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Mahendra. So I think we can see the correlation between what Pak Taufik and Pak Mahendra said before. When Pak Taufik talked about maritime security application, which means that we can track and monitor ships or vessels around the world, and that emphasized by Pak Mahendra presentation, that he conveyed with something said virtual maritime gate. So we may understand that virtual maritime gate has a close association with technology, with something called maritime security application. So that's why it's called virtual, I guess. And now, we will come to the last presentation. Pak Gusman will deliver the similar topic, only it's about how Indonesia regulate this advance of technology. Please, Pak Gusman, the floor is yours for 15 minutes.
Thank you very much once again, Pak Sukri. Very good afternoon, everyone. So, my topic is about the Indonesia's regulation on the automatic identification system. This is also part of the research projects that we have conducted with the Indonesian Coast Guard. The previous one was presented by my colleague, Bu Orin. So we have several research projects with the Indonesian Coast Guard, and this is one of them. So if I may. So I will start with the background, why this needs particular attention regarding the regulation on the automatic identification system. And I would like also to take you through some relevant international instruments related to the AIS and how they have been implemented in some countries. And later on, I will explain about how the Indonesian regulation has addressed this issue, and lastly, some observations and ways forward. So as to the background, I think we all have witnessed this notion of turning off the AIS has been taking place in some parts of the world, especially with the war happening between Ukraine and Russia. It has been spotted that a number of Russian cargo ships spotted going dark or being ghost vessels or ghost tankers. They usually turn off their automatic identification system here to evade sanctions. And also recently, we also had this incident in the parts of the economic exclusive zone of Malaysia, where we have this ship-to-ship transfer, and it was conducted by these ships. And before they're doing so, they turn off their AIS. And last year, our government, especially the Ministry of Transport, considered that the problem has become more and more serious, especially with the arrest of these two ships off the Kalimantan waters, but in the western part, so it's closer to the Strait of Malacca, where we had this, the Horse and Freya incidents at that time. They were doing a ship-to-ship transfer and preceded by turning off the AIS. So then the Ministry of Transport thought that, well, it has become a serious problem. So in 2022, we had this Ministry of Transport regulation, and that's what I'm going to go through throughout this presentation. And even after the regulation has been enacted, there was another incident where we had this spoofing incident, and the Indonesian Coast Guard detained this ship, which according to the data, it was located in the Red Sea, but in fact, it is located in the Indonesian waters. So this is what the AIS looks like. So it's basically a worldwide automatic positioning system, and it is fitted based on fitting small transponders to vessels. There is a Class A and also Class B. Class A is for the bigger ships, while Class B is for smaller vessels. And this device basically continuously transmits a signal alerting other vessels and shore stations about the presence of that particular vessel. So how has this mechanism been regulated? So basically it has been regulated under the International Maritime Organization instrument, particularly in the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. And under Chapter 5, you can see the specific provision on the safety of navigation, especially Regulation 19. And it says that all ships of 300 GT or more engage on international voyages, or cargo ships of 500 GT or more not engage on international voyages, and all passenger ships, irrespective of size, must be fitted with an AIS. The regulation was applied progressively, but then it came fully into effect on the 31st of December 2004, and during the time period between 1st of July 2002 to 1 July 2008, it was applied progressively. So basically what ICE information should cover is the ship's identity, the ship's type, position, course, speed, navigational stages, and also other safety-related information. There have been also other instruments initiated by the IMO, for instance, the resolution of adoption of new and amended performance standards, the Annex 3, and also another resolution of revised guidelines for the onboard operational use of shipborne automatic identification systems. It is interesting also to note that, as also Taufik has clearly mentioned about the relationship between the IMO and ITU, because this is because as AIS also has something to do with this telecommunication system in international navigation. So some works also have been done by this organization. So this is just to provide you some further information about what IMO has been doing. So it basically highlights and underlines what has been regulated under the Regulation 19. As I said, there was this instrument, the IMO resolution in 1998 and also IMO resolution in 2015. Well, they basically, one document provides recommendations for performance standards regarding universal automatic identification system, and the other one emphasizes the objectives of AIS and further explains about the AIS description and mechanism, as well what should be contained in the ship's data. And in our research, we have also identified these implementations practiced by some states. And it is interesting to see that, especially in the European Union, so the regulation on AIS is connected or is related to other measures regarding illegal activities at sea. So for instance, in the EU Council Directive of 2009/21, the obligation to turn on the AIS is also connected with the compliance with regard to flag state requirements, and also under the Council Regulation of 1224/2009. It also it's related to the community control system for ensuring compliance with the rules of the common fisheries policy. In Spain, for instance, they also taken quite a high amount of fine, and also similarly in France. So this kind of enforcement, as we can see, is not, they don't only concern the AIS, but also measures to, for instance, combat illegal fishing. And in Singapore, we have, they have the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore port regulations. It also imposes quite a high amount of fine. It could be up to 20,000 Singaporean dollars. And there's also special provision for continuing offense. Certain actions may be taken by port masters, such as delaying the entry and departure of ships and also ship detention. The Philippines is also interesting. We were interested in the Philippines because we both are the archipelagic states. They have this Republic Act number 9295 about Domestic Shipping Development Act, but the particular provision on AIS is enacted through the Marina Circular about the rules to govern and the installation and implementation of AIS. And as you can see, there is also this administrative sanction provided under the circular, which says that the penalty could be up to 40,000 Philippine peso for cargo ships 500 GT and above if they're turning off AIS without justification, and also 50,000 Philippine peso for passenger ships of 300 GT and above. So it is interesting to see these implementations, and they are ranging from the not so high amount of fine to the quite high amount of fine. And this is also interesting to note that the practice of this surveillance to AIS and monitoring shipping or international shipping has been also conducted through the port state control, and it is also mentioned explicitly under the Ministry of Transport regulation, which I will come to that later on. So regarding the Indonesian regulation, we have identified that the obligation to turn on the AIS is has also a relationship with the law, the shipping law of number 17, year 2008. And there is also another related regulation on the government regulation and presidential regulations, one in 2010 and in 2017 regarding the ratification of SOLAS. But the explicit regulation is provided under the Ministry of Transport regulation of number 18 of 2022. And there have been questions when we did this research is whether there is enough deterrent effect rising from the administrative sanction, which is regulated under the Ministry of Transport regulation. There were also some questions whether we should penalize the ships or vessels that turning off ice without justification. So there are also discussions regarding the standard of penalties under the new Indonesian Criminal Code, and how these violations also are related to the other illegal activities at sea, such as ship-to-ship transfer and marine pollution, etc. So these are two interesting provisions under the Ministry of Transport regulation regarding the obligation to turn on the AIS. So it provides the administrative sanction under Article 10 for the ship owner if it is found out by the port master that the ship or the vessel has turned off AIS without any justification. And the sanction includes delaying of the departure of ship and fine up to 750 points, which 1 point equals 100,000 rupiahs, and well, approximately, roughly, it's about 4,800 US dollars. And the authority, in the first place, when we discussed with them, thought that, well, perhaps this doesn't have enough deterrent effect, so they were considering whether we should raise the fine or whether we should penalize the illegal turning off of the AIS. And there is also Article 11 on the sanction for the shipmaster, and it could be in form of certificate suspension or certificate revocation, and it's also a fine. But interestingly, there is no further explanation about the amount of the fine for the shipmaster, so it is not clear whether shipmaster will also have to pay the same amount of the fine as the ship owner. So from this research, we found out that, well, if you want to penalize or if you want to provide criminal sanctions for the violation of AIS, we recommend that we have to really take a careful consideration because basically the criminal sanction is the ultimum remedium. So we only can enforce it if there are no other ways to prevent such crime or such illegal activities. And accordingly, what we have so far is only the Ministry of Transport Regulation, and according to our law, that the Ministry of Regulation cannot provide the criminal sanction. So it only can provide fine or administrative sanction. But however, if then this violation is considered serious enough and there is no enough deterrent effect resulting from the Ministry of Transport Regulation, then, well, criminal sanction is possible, but it has to be conducted through the law. So here, one of the possibilities is to revise the shipping law of 2008. And here, again, we highlight under our research that, again, it has to be scrutinized in a very careful manner, because then, again, when you take action under the criminal law, then it should be an ultimum remedium, and it has to be there has to be evidence that, well, we have taken these administrative measures, but it does not deter enough. So then perhaps we can talk about the criminal sanction. And what we also have identified through this research is, I think the Indonesian, we think that the Indonesian government also needs to comprehend to understand in a more comprehensive manner about the role of the IIS. So it's not about only simply turning on or turning off AIS illegally or without justification, but it is also about how AIS can help us to enforce the rules and also provisions, laws under other laws that we have currently in Indonesia. So for instance, the AIS is actually helpful for us to conserve the marine biodiversity and fisheries, to regulate emission from ships, for instance, and also to help us in identify better marine spatial planning. So we think that we should not only consider the AIS on its own rights, but also it has to be connected with other fields of regulation and issues regarding illegal activities at sea. And one of also the findings that we think that it still needs further research is that the shipping industry perspective. So we have tried to have some discussion with the industry, because it's not only about the flag state obligation or state obligation regarding this AIS, but it also relates to the ship owner or the corporate. And we also found that there have been some practices where insurance companies reject the claim of a ship owner if it has been found out that during the incident the ship turned off its AIS without justification. So I think we still need to explore and conduct research more in this regard. Because we think that there needs to be this kind of whole of society approach in regulating the AIS. So my conclusion is that from our research team, we think that the reviews needed for this 2022 Ministry of Transport Regulation, we still have a lack of clarity about the enforcement of some provisions. And we also think that AIS should not be only considered in silo. It has to be optimized and also strengthen. We have to strengthen coordination in enforcing the law amongst the Indonesian maritime enforcement agencies. And as I mentioned before, we still also need to explore about the aspiration of the industry sector, because they also have a role to play in encouraging the ship owners to comply with the AIS regulation. And I would like also to relate this presentation to the previous presentations from my two colleagues, is that I think, yes, it's true, we need to develop more capacity in, especially in maritime communication, navigation, and surveillance technology. We had a discussion with our colleagues from Ministry of Transport. Well, someday the AIS technology will also become obsolete, and we need to get access to this new technology. And I think this has to be ensured with the how we can develop the capacity of our policymakers and also the shipping industry, ship owners, port masters in embracing this new development of technology. So I would like to acknowledge that this research has been funded by the Indonesian Maritime Security Agency, and I would also like to acknowledge my fellow researchers, Bu Klorin, Bu Davina, and we also have two research students, Melania and Arifania. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Looking forward to discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Gusman. So you find out that the law enforcement of the IAS violation is not enough. It's not enough just by imposing fine or certificate suspension. And I think that you want to give in more than that, because the Ministry of Transportation Regulation is not capable to give criminal punishment. You know, and for that, we are come to the Q&A session. Yes, Professor? Let's bring it on.
Is it for me, Mr. Sukri?
I'm sorry, can I see the online participation? I want to tell her that Professor is the first. Hello?
There we go first. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Is it okay, Prof? I'm sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry because of this. Okay, I would like to ask for Pak Mahindra. It was very interesting presentation. Also, Mr. Taufik and also Pak Gusman. So I really enjoy your presentation. So first of all, I would like to ask to Pak Mahindra, because you have a very ideal about the define. It's a virtual maritime gate, so this is new for me also, Pak Mahindra. So I would like to to have more explanation related to the virtual maritime gate and how does it work in Indonesia, because this is very modern, modern system. And you mentioned there are some challenges actually about how to apply the virtual maritime gate. And first, it's related to the modern technology. So how about the development of technology in Indonesia to apply in the virtual maritime gate? And also the second one is about the resources, human resources itself. So what kind of preparation or what kind of capacity building that have to be developed in order to implement a virtual maritime guide? And the second question, it will be addressed to Gusman. So this is related to automatic identification system with we apply also. And one of your presentation, you mentioned that this kind of system is also will be useful how to combat with the illegal fishing or IAU fishing. And in this case, that how does it work? And also the relationship with the role of the port state related to the combating of the IU fishing in Indonesia. So is it this kind of system? It is really good for us, or it's this, or we need certain kind of effort how to implement the IS system in order to combat IU fishing, especially in the area of Indonesia. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Professor, I think I met you in Manado. Is it correct?
Yes, I met you, Mr. Sukri. We have breakfast together. Breakfast together.
Ah, yeah. Well, yeah, in Manado. Yes, it is. So, Professor, I am sorry. First of all, I just want to let her know to hold because you are the first one. And then you say, let her first, then okay. And now it's your turn, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very interested in these presentations because we've been working on some of the same issues. With respect to the ships, the dark ships that are doing ship-to-ship transfer of Russian oil or Iranian or Venezuelan oil, they're actually anchoring off the port of Johor. Every day there are at least 50 ships anchored out there, and my spies tell me there are 4 to 5 ship-to-ship transfers. 2 oil tankers that come down from China, they're transferred there, and then the oil goes up to China. There are risk of pollution because when you do a ship-to-ship transfer offshore, you often have pollution, and the currents carry it not to the Malaysian coast, they carry it to Bintan or Indonesian islands. AIS regulations are enforced like most IMO regulations by the flag state. The problem is in these cases you have the so-called worst kind of flags of convenience. The ship that broke up in May, there was a tanker that exploded. Several people were killed. Was flagged in Gabon. Gabon probably didn't know it, but it carried a Gabon flag. The other ships that are doing this are also either carrying an Iranian flag. There was an Iranian flag vessel arrested by Baklama, I think, in July. Or there are other flags of convenience, and the flag of the ship is not interested in enforcing the IMO rules. So the issue, and Indonesia is not able to enforce the IMO rules outside of Indonesia's territorial sea, and neither can Malaysia. So the real issue is how do we address the issue and get the ability to change the IMO rules so that the coastal states can protect their waters beyond their 12-mile territorial sea limit. It's a very challenging but a very, very interesting question, and it's of vital importance, I think, to your maritime security or your marine environment. The one question I'd like to ask, because I'm in touch with the private industry is tracking these vessels because of insurance, but the potential insurance claims. They actually are tracking them and using satellite data to try to identify those that are using false flags or are hiding their AIS. Indonesian and Malaysian authorities should be cooperating with those companies that are doing that. The question I have it relates to Taufik, because I was told by my friends in industry that are tracking this that last weekend they were not able to track them because of heavy cloud cover over Singapore and Malaysia. So the question would be, if low Earth satellites are in that area, would you be able to track and identify those ships that are engaged in the illegal ship-to-ship transfer even when there's high cloud cover? Is that one advantage that Indonesia would have if it invests in low Earth orbit satellites? Sorry for the long question.
Thank you, Professor. Is that for Taufik or for Gusman? Okay, Taufik. Okay, so I think we have the first 2 questions, and okay.
Okay, I'll answer the question from Miss Sriwartini in Jogja because okay, Bu Sriwartini, I'm sorry I can't attend the last conference in Manado, so we can meet
Yeah,
like another conference. So Okay, like I said in my presentation, Virtual Maritime Gate is formally known in Act of IKN, Act of number 3 of 2022, and this is in the annex of that act. They said a concept. They use concept termination. So based on the concept termination that Virtual Maritime Gate, so actually we don't know exactly what is the Virtual Maritime Gate in the implementation. So all of us still learning about this concept about Virtual Maritime Gate. As we know that the Virtual Maritime Gate concept is talking about technology, talking about using of technology, like Mr. Taufik presentation about satellite development to detect the movement of vessel, to detect, it's kind of like that. So Virtual Maritime Gate is using of high technology, using of modern technology to protect our territory. The technology is using maybe using satellite, maybe using the another technology to support the implementation of Virtual Maritime Gate. And like I said in the conclusion of my presentation, that the challenge of this concept is how we can fulfill the modern technology, how we can, how we have a good or high capacity of the operator of Virtual Maritime Gate. So we need a huge budget to fulfill the high technology to implement the concept of Virtual Maritime Gate. So let me see in 2 or 3 years in the future that how many money or budgeting from our government to support the concept of smart defense. So it's depend on how we fulfill the technology to implementing the concept of Virtual Maritime Gate. So it's based on our political budgeting to support or to fulfill this concept. So maybe we can ask this situation to the next government, to the next president, to the next president. Maybe this is one of the question for our candidates of president, how they look of our defense security, defense system, especially in IKN, and how they implement the concept of Virtual Maritime Gate. If they continue the developing of IKN. if the chosen president didn't don't continue the development of IKN, so we don't need the Virtual Maritime Gate. But
so we still stay in Jakarta.
It will be one of the material discussion for the next president. First, they want to continue the developing of IKN, and the second question is how they look, how is their opinion about Virtual Maritime Gate, because this need a big, huge budget to fulfill the high technology and the smart operator too. I think that's my answer, Mr. Sukri.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Petra. And I think for Gusman, she asked about, as far as I know here, is how port combating AES violation. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. So the question was about how we can integrate this AIS regulation and our effort to combat IU fishing. So I was also showing in my one of my slides that there are these practices of states which actually integrate this obligation to turn on AIS as a part of also a policy with respect to the fisheries, for instance, as what we have seen in the European Union practice. So we also recommend through this research that there should be, as I mentioned, the closer cooperation among enforcement agencies, that when you want to implement this Ministry of Transport regulation, it doesn't stand on its own, but it's also part of also perhaps more serious criminal activities such as IU fishing. So perhaps while we don't have any criminal sanctions under the Ministry of Transport regulation, but there are criminal sanctions under the fisheries laws. So when there's this conviction of IU fishing and it's brought to the court, and there was an evidence that the ships involved, they are turning off the AIS in the first place, so that could perhaps be a consideration for the judge or for the court to impose higher or more severe sanctions for that violation. So it is kind of integrated enforcement, so we don't only talk about whether the administrative fine under the current regulation is not causing enough deterrent effect, but if you try to integrate it with other policies such as measures to combat IU fishing in the Indonesian, especially in Indonesian waters, then it is worth to consider. And I think there was also part of where we can increase port state measures in this regard. So as Indonesia is also a party to the port state measures agreement, I think this can be also be considered as a part of the enforcement if it has been found out that the alleged ship also turn off the AIS before they conduct the illegal fishing activities. And I would like also to respond to Professor B's questions. Thank you very much for the question, Professor. So based on our interviews with the enforcement agencies, it was found out that this incident of turning off AIS mostly took place in the Indonesian archipelagic waters. So that's why we were interested to also have interviews with Philippine authorities. But we can conclude that perhaps Indonesia is currently ahead of in terms of enforcing this AIS. And what I was also showing on one of the slides, the incidents took place also within the archipelagic waters with respect to Horse and Freya. So, well, arguably we can still have jurisdiction over such incidents. But of course, the question of flag of convenience is not an easy issue. So it has been there for since, well, I cannot even remember, but this is one of the challenges that, and yeah, I'm not sure whether we could also include this in the IMO agenda, but so far what we have found is that IMO is still coming up with these resolutions that underline the obligations that have been already clear under the Regulation 19 and not further than that, I'm afraid. So I don't know whether there would be a change ahead, but so far I think that's what has been happening. And yeah, about the role of shipping industry and also the insurance industry, I think, as I mentioned, this is one of the areas that we can explore further. Unfortunately, we haven't got any opportunity to talk with shipping industry during this research. So hopefully, if we can still get funding and continue this research. It is an area that we would be interested to know more. And as you mentioned, the technology to monitor these ships, I think, can be also assisted by the development of technology. And what Taufik has presented, I think, is one of the opportunities where we can further explore. And as I mentioned as well, during the research, we also had a discussion with people from the Ministry of Transport, and the alternative technologies are available, and in the future, the AIS will also become obsolete. But again, the question is, as also Pa Mahendra was asking, is how we can get access to such technologies, and whether we can afford, and whether we can also ensure that we have adequate support in terms of infrastructure and also human resources. Thank you.
Pak Taufik, do you want to add something? Do you want to say something?
Oh yeah, thank you, Prof. I mean, your question is really interesting. That is low Earth orbit satellite could penetrate the heavy clouds if they are during storm, etc. From my quick reading from some engineering journals and articles, I mean, they could penetrating the heavy clouds, and they could penetrating the engine room, because as my understanding, because the altitude of low Earth orbit satellite is just only between 500 to 1,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface, the signal must be much stronger rather than GSO or MEO. It's more way above the Earth's surface, so their signal is more weak rather than LEO. The question now is about the not about the low Earth orbit satellite could penetrate the heavy clouds or not, but now the question is more about the how big the storm it is, because there's some particular area low Earth orbit satellite have limitation of signal scoping. They are actually moving in motion with atmospheric motion. So that's the still remain a question for further research on but it's from engineering perspective. But from my quick reading, as long as my understanding, whether this is bad weather or like they could penetrate, the signal could penetrate the heavy clouds, etc., etc. Also, the signal they use also is Ka band and Ku band is more way strong rather than Phi band that usually used in geostationary orbit satellites. So yeah, they could penetrate. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I have to end this session. We are 15 minutes late from the signage schedule. We have to end the session. I'm sorry? Do you still have one question? Do you have a question or not? One more, please. Yeah, okay. The last one.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Shaidaris Kaisha. I'm an international relations student. And I want to ask about virtual maritime gate. It is stated that VMG will detect every movement in the water, and it will be placed in the Makassar Strait, which is in Alkit 2, in order to protect the IKN. My question is why the implementation of VMG only placed in Alkit 2, while there are lots of cases where foreign ships entering Indonesia's sea without being detected. Thank you.
I suppose that question is for Pak Mahendra, is it? Okay.
Okay. the statement of the position of IKN in Indonesia's virtual maritime gate will be placed in the Makassar Strait, which is flanked by two large islands, Kalimantan and Sulawesi, is original statement from the Indonesian New Capital Act in number 3 of 2022. So if we talk about why only in the Makassar Strait between Kalimantan and the Sulawesi Island, the answer is because of the act is only mention the strait, the Makassar Strait, not in the other strait. That's because of the formal situation, the legal situation is based on the act of Ibu Kota Nusantara. But if we want to make another virtual maritime gate concept in another strait, so yes, we can. So we only can, like I said, this is the new concept for Indonesian defense system. Maybe the pilot project is in around IKN. If we can fulfill and if we can implementing this concept in the around IKN, maybe we can use this concept too in the other strait or in other archipelagic sea lanes. But as stated in the act, they just state in Makassar Strait, only in Makassar Strait. But maybe in the future we can add the virtual maritime gate concept in other strait. I only use the annex of Indonesian New Capital Act. You can read in the Annex 2, of IKN Act number 3, 2022. Okay.
That's all. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, having said, I would like to say that I have to end this the last panel of this session, and I think we have a great discussion and we're having fun together, if that's what you think. So, I really appreciate if you give applause for these three speakers. Thank you so much, Pak Taufik, Pak Gusman, Pak Mahendra. See you in another conference, and goodbye. And I will give this to Master of Ceremony.
Thank you very much for the mind-blowing discussion, because this session not only talk about the sea, but also the satellite itself to secure our sea. For that, let us give applause to those incredible speakers and moderator. Thus, after the series of international seminar events with the theme Maritime Security and International Shipping Current Developments, we have come to the end of our session for today, and I'd like to thank everyone who made this session possible. Finally, from the deepest of my heart, I do apologize for my mistakes in presenting this event. Have a great day and stay safe, everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.